Let me tell you about a phone call I heard about recently. A woman named Patricia, 71 years old, sharp, independent, has been driving without a single accident for over 50 years. She called her daughter in a panic after seeing a headline online. It said Canada was bringing in a new rule that would force every driver over 65 to pass a test or hand over their keys immediately. Patricia had already started researching bus routes. She was ready to give up driving altogether. Here is the thing, that headline was wrong. Nearly everything about it was wrong, and Patricia almost surrendered her independence over a story that did not even apply to her. That is exactly why we are here today, because right now there are thousands of Canadian drivers doing the same thing Patricia did, panicking over a rule they have not been told the truth about. So today that changes. We are going to go through this slowly, honestly, and completely. What the actual rule is, what age it really kicks in, what the test actually involves, what happens if something gets flagged, and what you can do right now so that when your renewal day comes, you walk in prepared and walk out with your license still in your hand. Stay with me to the end, because the last section, the one about what a flagged result actually means, is the piece that will calm you down more than anything else I say today. Let's start with the headline claim itself, because it is wrong in two very important ways. First, there is no national Canadian driving rule, not for seniors, not for anyone. In Canada, driving licenses are issued and regulated entirely by each province. Ottawa has no say in it, which means any headline that screams about a brand new national rule affecting every Canadian driver is already misleading you before you even finish reading it. Second, the age threshold is not 65, not in any province in this country. Here is where each province actually draws the line. In Ontario, mandatory senior driver screening begins at age 80. In British Columbia, same thing, 80. In Alberta, it starts earlier, at 75. In Quebec, also 75. Though the process begins more gently there, in most of the rest of the country, 80 is the standard trigger point. So if you are 65, 67, 70, even 74, and you have been losing sleep over a test that is supposedly coming for your keys next month, take a breath. For the overwhelming majority of people reading this, that day is years away. But here is why you should still keep watching. When it does arrive, it is stricter than most people expect. And the drivers who walk through it calmly are the ones who understood it in advance, not the ones who first heard about it standing at the counter. Now let's talk about what actually happens at that renewal appointment, because knowing the steps is what removes the fear. Using Ontario as the model, because it has the most developed program, and other provinces are moving in a similar direction. When you hit 80 in Ontario, two things change. Your license no longer renews every 5 years. From that point, it is every 2 years. And that renewal is no longer a quick trip to swap a photo and pay a fee. It becomes an in-person appointment, recently streamlined to roughly 90 minutes, all handled in one session. Inside those 90 minutes, 3 things happen. The first is a vision test. A staff member checks your distance vision and your peripheral vision. You wear your glasses if you use them, exactly as you would while driving. This is the most straightforward part of the entire process. Most people who have kept up with regular eye exams pass without any trouble. The ones who struggle are usually the ones who have quietly let their vision slide and have not seen an optometrist in years. And that is the important point here. That is a fixable problem, but only if you fix it before you walk through that door, not after. The second is a short group education session. They walk you through safe driving information, things that are particularly relevant for older drivers. There is nothing to pass here, no exam, no right or wrong answers. You sit, you listen, and you take what is useful, that is all. The third thing is where most of the anxiety lives. It is a brief cognitive screening. And I want to spend a little time on this one because it is the piece that catches people most off guard. The cognitive screening in Ontario involves 2 simple paper-based tasks. In the first, you are asked to draw a clock face, put the numbers on it, and then draw the hands to show a specific time. In the second, you are given a page with many letters or shapes and asked to cross out certain ones. That is it. 2 small tasks. And I can already hear what you are thinking. That sounds almost too simple. What could a clock drawing possibly tell anyone? Here is what it tells them. Drawing a clock face sounds easy, but it quietly asks your brain to do several things simultaneously. You have to hold the instruction in memory. Visualize the clock, space the numbers correctly around the face, and then convert a stated time into a hand position. It touches memory, planning, spatial reasoning, and attention all at once. That is why medical professionals have used it as a screening tool for decades, not because it is a trick, because it is a fast, gentle way to notice whether something might be worth a closer look. And this is the part people find most unsettling. You cannot study for it. There is no booklet, no rules of the road to review, no facts to memorize. It is not testing what you know. It is taking a quick snapshot of how your mind is working that day. That feeling of not being able to prepare is real. But here's what you can do. You can show up in the best possible condition to do well. That means being rested. Do not schedule your renewal appointment at the end of an exhausting week. Eat beforehand. Bring your glasses and hearing aids if you use them, so you can clearly understand every instruction. Go in calm rather than anxious, because genuine anxiety can make anyone fumble a simple task on a bad day. None of that is gaming the system. It is just making sure the snapshot they take is a fair picture of you on a normal day. Now we get to the part that matters most. The part that undoes the biggest myth of all. A slightly imperfect clock drawing does not mean someone reaches across the desk and takes your license. That is not how this works. And I want you to really sit with that, because the fear of exactly that outcome is what stops people from going to the appointment at all. The vision check and the cognitive screening are both exactly what they are called, screenings. They are a first filter, nothing more. If everything looks fine, you renew, you get your 2 years, you leave, and that is it. If something gets flagged, your vision falls below the standard, or the cognitive screen raises a question, it does not mean your license is gone. It means they look closer. That is all a flag means. A second look. What does that second look actually involve? If it is a vision issue, very often the path forward is simply this. Visit your optometrist, get the right prescription, and have a vision report submitted confirming you now meet the standard. People clear that hurdle regularly. If it was the cognitive screening that raised a question, the next step is typically a request for more information from your own doctor. Someone who knows your full health history far better than a 5-minute paper exercise ever could. And your doctor may confirm there is no concern whatsoever. If the question is genuinely about whether you can still handle a vehicle safely, then the answer is a road test. You get behind the wheel with a licensed examiner, and you drive on real roads. It is the same kind of test you passed decades ago when you first got your license. And a great many older drivers take it, pass it, and drive away with their license intact. At every one of those stages, the door is still open. No one has taken anything from you. You are being asked to demonstrate something you may already know perfectly well, that you are still a safe driver, and you are given clear, concrete ways to do exactly that. Let me make this real with a story. There is a man I will call Gerald, 82 years old, still drives himself to his weekly card game, takes his wife grocery shopping twice a week, picks up his grandchildren from school on Fridays. When his renewal notice arrived, Gerald nearly threw it in the garbage. He had read a version of the same terrifying headline Patricia had seen. He was convinced the clock drawing test was designed to catch him out. He told his wife he was thinking about just letting the license expire quietly, rather than face a process he was certain he would fail. His son sat him down one evening and walked him through exactly what was involved, step by step. No drama, no fear, just fact. Gerald made an appointment with his optometrist, something he had been putting off for over a year, got an updated prescription, picked up new glasses. He went to his renewal appointment rested and prepared. He passed the vision test, he sat through the education session, he drew the clock. 90 minutes later, he walked out with 2 more years on his license. Gerald's driving was never the problem. His information was. Fear built on a false story nearly cost him the independence he had every right to keep. That is the real danger here, and it is why this conversation matters. So let's turn this into a plan. 4 things you can do, starting today, regardless of your age, so that when your renewal arrives, you are ready. 1. Get your eyes checked and stay current with it. Vision is the part of this entire process most within your control, and it is the most common fixable reason an older driver runs into trouble at renewal. If you have been quietly squinting at road signs and telling yourself it is probably fine, it is time to stop telling yourself that. Book the appointment. If you need an updated prescription, get it now on your own terms, not on renewal day at a licensing counter. 2. Find out the real rules for your province and mark the date. You now know it is not 65, it is 75 in Alberta and Quebec, and 80 in Ontario, British Columbia, and most of the country. Go directly to your province's official licensing authority website and confirm exactly what is required and when. Not a social media post, not a news article, the official source. When you know the real timeline, it becomes a calendar appointment, not a lurking threat. 3. Take care of the health underneath your driving. Conditions that affect your eyes, your heart, your alertness, or your thinking can all affect your ability to drive safely. Stay on top of your checkups. Take your medications as prescribed. Keep an honest conversation going with your doctor about whether anything might be affecting how you drive. A well-managed condition often keeps you safely on the road. The risk is the one you ignore. 4. If you ever are flagged, do not panic and do not walk away. A flag is a second look. Ask clearly what is being required. If it is a doctor's form, get it done. If it is a road test, take it seriously. Consider booking a refresher lesson with a driving instructor first, and then go show them. The drivers who unnecessarily lose their independence are far too often the ones who heard the word flagged, assumed it meant over, and gave up when the door was still completely open. Before we close, 3 things you should never do, because each one quietly costs older drivers their keys when it did not have to. Never panic over a headline. The frightening version of this story, a new national rule stripping licenses from everyone over 65, is not real. The actual rule is provincial. It starts at 75 or 80 depending on where you live, and it is a screening process, not a trap. Giving up your independence in response to a false story is not caution. It is an unnecessary loss. Never let your license quietly lapse to avoid the test. Some people dread the renewal so much that they simply stop renewing. That does not protect you. It strips your license by default and can leave you driving illegally without even realizing the full consequences. If you want to keep driving, you go through the renewal process. Always. And never ignore a real change in your vision, your health, or your driving. This screening system exists for a reason. If your family has been gently raising concerns, if you have had a couple of close calls on the road, do not bury it. Get the eye exam. See your doctor. Take a refresher lesson. Facing those things honestly and early is exactly how you stay on the road longer. Here is the full picture, pulled together simply. Driving licenses in Canada are provincial. There is no national rule. Mandatory senior screening starts at 75 in Alberta and Quebec, and at 80 in Ontario, British Columbia, and most of the country. When you reach that age, you renew every 2 years. That renewal includes a vision check, a short education session, and a brief cognitive screening involving simple tasks like drawing a clock. You cannot study for it, but you can show up rested, prepared, and calm. A flag on any part of it is a second look, not an instant loss. Often it leads to a doctor's form or a road test that you have a very real chance of passing. The fear surrounding this topic is doing more harm than the rule itself. Capable, safe older drivers are reading exaggerated headlines and quietly surrendering independence they have every right to keep, convinced the system is a trap. It is not a trap. It is a process, and a process you understand is one you can walk through. If you do only one thing after watching this, book an eye appointment if you are overdue. Not because a test is coming next week. For most of you, it is years away. But because your vision is the single most controllable piece of this entire picture, and the most common, most fixable thing that trips a driver up at renewal. That one small step protects the biggest thing you have, your freedom to go where you want, when you want, on your own terms. One important note before you go. Everything covered here is general education, not legal, medical, or driving advice. The exact rules and ages are set by each individual province and can change. Confirm what applies to you directly with your province's official licensing authority, and speak with your doctor about anything that might affect your fitness to drive. If you know an older driver who has been quietly frightened by these headlines, send them this. You might be the reason they show up to that appointment calm and informed, and walk back out still holding their keys.